Welcome to the Zweig Letter Podcast, putting architectural, engineering, planning, and environmental consulting guru Mark Zweig and his team of expert straight talk in your ear. Mark has more than 30 years of experience helping AEP and environmental firms thrive, and these podcasts deliver his invaluable management, industry, client, and HR advice directly to you, free of charge. The Zweig Letter Podcasts let you develop professionally, wherever you are.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Zweig Letter Podcast. Our goal is to bring you some of the best and brightest minds that the AEC industry has to offer. Today, I am pleased to welcome JJ Brantingham to the show. JJ is the co-founder of Planifi. Planifi is a software company that helps AE firms manage their people and projects more efficiently. JJ, it's great to have you join us on the Zweig Letter interview series. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your company, Planifi?
Yeah, thank you, Randy. My name is JJ Brantingham. My background is actually in AE. I spent just shy of 2 decades as a partner at a firm called Sebesta. It's about 250 people, 12 offices around the country. And recently, I think Sebesta was rolled in to NV5, actually. So I took that experience in operations and working in the firm to improve other firms, help them out, and co-found Planifi with Tom. You know, our goal is to make it easier for firms to plan and forecast their businesses through our project planning software.
Okay. And certainly, I mean, everybody can use help as far as that's concerned. What are, I've talked to other people that develop software for this industry, and I know sometimes the ideas that we have about what people need and what they actually want are two totally different things. How close to the mark do you feel like you hit it with Planifi, and is today's iteration how far is it off the mark of what you guys originally intended to create for the company?
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, pretty true. You know, I think when we start working with the first set of customers, we had an initial set of learnings and, you know, tried to fit it in what they were trying to get to. And recently, just this year really is we took that experience now and customers using our products, stepped back to think about how we can better address the overall challenges they have. And our initial findings right now is that we're very much on the mark from where we started.
Okay, great. Well, then that sounds like you don't have that many versions. What version are you guys on of Planifi right now since its inception?
So, great question. So we're currently Analyzer has, I think, close to somewhere between 7 and 10 releases. Don't know the exact number. And since we've taken that and have Analyzer at quite a few customers today, we've stepped back and try to think about how we can better address the problems that our customers are really having. So we're rolling into those learnings into a new solution built around the approach of plan, manage, forecast. And it's so new that we haven't totally finalized naming around new products and solutions. But yeah, so that's where we're at.
Okay. All right. So how have you gone about helping firms to better utilize this information through the software? Do you normally go in and understand what their problems are and then show them how Planifi can help them, or are people just kind of finding you guys and just kind of right off the shelf using your product?
It's some of both, but we certainly take a consultative approach to try and understand where customers are and where they're trying to go and figure out what speed, is really appropriate for them, how fast we should adopt. and then really, through that process, help firms identify their own best practices and try to work with them to establish their own way, if you will, their own practices.
Okay. So then there is a certain amount of customization that that your program allows based on information that you gather from specific firms that you meet with.
We avoid the customization word and path.
Okay.
What we've done is built in a lot of configuration options so that customers aren't getting a custom solution that requires custom upgrades and that sort of nightmare path of custom solutions. So we do is just do configuration to figure out what's the right settings, how do they operate, how to get that configured to best work for them.
Okay, so I totally get it. So customization is a curse word in your office, but configuration is key, which certainly achieves some of the same objectives. So, yeah, well, that's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the team and how you guys are set up, and specifically because it sounds like you're doing a little bit of everything, but your focus is what within Planifi.
So personally, I still have my hands in most of the implementations and trainings that we do with customers. I focus a lot on then taking those hands-on learnings and turn that into products and solutions at a high level. Tom Vandervoort works alongside me. Tom's experience actually comes from the software side in AE, both from Deltek and Newforma.
Okay.
And so Tom helps with customer success, leading a lot of the day-to-day development as he had done in his past with Deltek and Newforma. And as you know, we also have Jake Kempfer, who helps lead up our sales and marketing efforts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Our core leadership team there.
Okay. And then how are your marketing efforts going? Do you find it difficult to reach the variety of design firms out there? Certainly, Zweig Group, we've been in this industry for almost 3 decades, and we're constantly trying to reinvent things with regard to reaching out to the design industry as a whole. How has that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, as a younger company, we're going into our 3rd year here.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It's AE has a certain amount of momentum built into it, so there's not a lot of channels. There's some good partners we have, like, the Zweig Group, where we can get out and do some of the conferences. That definitely touches a good slice in the market, and we love, meeting and talking to new firms in those events. But, I think you guys are probably found the same. There's a certain amount of momentum and word of mouth that comes, and that's where you really get the traction. And we're starting to see that as customers share with each other and talk about how they're meeting their goals and what solutions they're using and finding. That's where we really see the traction speeding up.
Okay. So, and obviously you just mentioned coming to our event. So Zweig Group, we do the Hot Firm event every year. This year it's going to be in Seattle the 3rd week of September. Certainly encouraging any and everyone that's listening to this podcast to come out and hang out with some of the most successful design firms in our industry. But Planifi will be there, and what do you hope to do while there in terms of interacting with the firms that'll be there? A lot of which are firms that are doing things the right way on a regular basis. What is your focus in terms of kind of getting the word out about Planifi, and at the end of the day, how should people really view you guys in terms of what you offer?
Great. There's a lot in there. So, our goal, first and foremost is just to have a bit of a dialogue and conversation. We like to find out about what firms are doing as much as we like to, share what we're doing and how we're helping firms. So we'd love to just have that conversation about what's working, what are challenges, and if we can share some learnings with each other, that's where we sort of geek out as Planifi members and talking about firm operations, etc. As far as where we fit in, it's really about making it easy to plan projects, so that you have a place to start with, to have a project management and planning solution. From there, we like to make it easy for firms to maintain those project plans and then forecast the overall firm operations, identifying hiring needs, before the fact, looking across project schedules and identifying deliverables, making sure they're getting their deliverables out to clients on time, on budget, and forecasting that overall firm performance with regards to how much work they have and how much backlog or unbilled fee they have. Those types of overall forecasting solutions that basically connect the dots between project management and leadership and forecasting.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So can you, and I'd just be curious, and I'm sure some of our listening audience would be, can you give us maybe one use case scenario where Planifi, where you've been able to take your product and come into a firm and like, not so much revolutionize things, but just give them a different perspective in how they view the projects that they're currently working on?
Sure. I mean, from a project perspective, a lot of the sort of lights go on when we're able to show firms all their projects that are going on within the firm in one screen. They can see when every project, when schematic design's starting and stopping, and when CA is going to kick off, and they can see that across the board, and they can see those milestones and deliverables that they need to hit along the way. It just helps firms really, get a bit of a light bulb moment and see, this is what's really going on as far as what we're delivering and what we're working with, whether it's 50 projects or 5,000 projects, at a time. The other sort of, big one that jumps out to me is we've been in a few meetings, I think one just a couple months ago. We sat in the room with the management team, and they brought up their staffing capacity needs. They looked at a couple roles. I think it was some survey roles that they had, and they could see that they needed to put in a job requisition to meet that need now. So the HR person was in the room and said, let's put in 2 job recs for that. So it took out that, the question or some of the arguments that I know used to happen with regards to, do we really need, 2 new engineers or 2 new architects? They could just see it, and they made the decision right there.
Okay, great. So now, with that said, are you finding that are you getting HR managers that are inquiring about Planifi and about how it can kind of help them to determine what their needs are going to be, or is it just in general people are inquiring about Planifi in terms of what it's capable of doing?
Yeah, we haven't had that HR person come to us and see that particular need yet. But yeah, it's more, we're finding that PMs or operations people want to sort of streamline their estimating, planning, and forecasting process.
Okay. So then obviously, I'd certainly love to address the simple question, which I know some people are going to have, where somebody might say, well, JJ, this sounds great. I currently have Deltek. I mean, what does Planifi do that I can't already do in maybe a Deltek product like Vision or Ajira?
Sure. Yep. So we actually work with Deltek. We sit on top or next to the Deltek solution. Vision, and basically we just help. We make things more visual. We try to we call it visual project intelligence. So it really makes it easy for people to see and understand what's going on with their projects. We do some more things around more portfolio type reporting and viewing of metrics, so you can look at projects together. And really our goal is to try to make it easier and really as easy as possible to create those project plans so that you have a formal thing to measure and manage against. And that's the hurdle that we see a lot of firms have, is they can't take that first step to have a plan to manage against. They might, they have fits and starts trying to get a solution in place. And whether it's with Deltek or Excel, it's trying to formalize that process.
Okay. All right. Well, that answers the question, and so certainly you guys are working alongside of Deltek, which is kind of nice, and certainly with a lot of our listening audience. I know a lot of people use Deltek. We actually just had a Deltek expert. I don't know if you know Delray Bennett. She was on our podcast recently, and she's also a hot firm sponsor like you guys are. And so it's interesting to see, all of these different companies that are supporting the design industry in their own unique way. So what I'd be curious to know, and I'm sure others might be as well, is what's the future for Planifi? What's the next great frontier for you guys based on how your product is currently being used within design firms and the feedback that you're getting? So what is the next, without necessarily giving away any trade secrets or anything like that, what is the next logical step for you guys?
It revolves all around, not all around, but usability is a core focus. So visual, drag and drop, see, actual pictures of your people that are working on stuff, so that it's just easy to use. One of the things we always heard was, and we heard it from all sorts of solutions, including our own, is that it's great when we were there to help people train and use the system, but they'd go back into it. The infrequent users would go back into it 2 weeks or a month later, and they felt like they sort of had to relearn things. So That's where we took a step back to redesign and think, well, let's just make this drag and drop. Let's just make everything, let's drag to move your schedule or extend it, drag your people onto your plan, make the numbers, crystal clear. So that's definitely a large part of, our goal and focus, and then put that into a framework where firms can basically have a maturity model built into it, right? So that's where I mentioned before, sort of plan, manage, forecast. You got to get that first step of being able to have a plan before you can take the next step up, the sort of maturity model of now maintain and manage all those plans, maintain and manage what your staff are working on, because you have to assign them to work on something before you can manage what they're working on. And then, really get to that last piece of having real-time good forecasts that are up to date. And if all that stuff is done right and it's usable, then it's less of a challenge, because, I'm sure a large percentage of our audience has tried or looked at or perhaps done some planning solutions in the past, and they probably had a lot of fits and starts with it. So that's our idea, is to try to smooth out that process.
Okay. All right. So a couple of other questions on a technical standpoint. Do you offer a demo or anything so that firms can kind of like get a taste test of what Planifi is all about?
Oh yeah, we're happy to do demos all the time. You can go to our website, just at planifi.net, reach out to us, and we'd be happy to, show firms more about what we do and how we can help them out.
Okay. So, and is this software itself, is it available? What type of subscription model is it? Is it at an enterprise level, or is it based on a certain number of users, or how is it available to people?
Sure. It's we do either. Typically, it's we find out what the firm's need are and talk about, maybe it's one department within the firm that needs that, and we can just do a license per user. It's an annual, licensing fee. And then we have, customers that, just choose to do an enterprise solution, and we'll work with them on that. Our customer ranges anywhere from 25 customers to, or 25 employees, to over 650 employees. So it's a pretty broad base, and we adjust accordingly to make sure we can work with most everyone.
Okay. And then, as you were talking a few minutes ago about using the product itself, is there an app as well? Like if I have Planifi in the office, would I have access to it on my phone, or is it mobile optimized where I can just pretty much get on my phone and do that, since, everybody and their mother is doing everything on a smartphone nowadays?
Yeah, we're going to be doing more with mobile. Currently, what we do have is, and I didn't mention, this is sort of our other initiative, is to connect information back to employees that are doing the work. Connecting back what they're responsible with regards to deliverables, what they're assigned to work on, so they can just get that automatically. And we do that through Outlook.
Okay.
So it's just a feed. And one of the things we heard was, we don't necessarily want more tools. We don't want to have to open more things.
Right.
So let's just give project managers and people working on projects that feed right into Outlook, so they can see a separate calendar, similar to like a room calendar, so it doesn't clutter up their own calendar. They can just see what's due when, what's assigned to them, what projects the PMs have asked them to work on. And it just facilitates that dialogue of, allowing staff to say, hey, you signed me for way too much, so I can, sort of raise my hand and go to speak to either the PM or their leadership to say, hey, what's the priority here? Just facilitates that conversation.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, good. So, and we'll be sure to get some notes on here. If somebody wants to reach out to you and connect with you, what's the easiest way for them to do that?
You can contact me directly, just jj@planifi.net. It's planifi.net. Or same thing, just go to our website, planifi.net, and you can reach out to us that way.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And we'll certainly have that information in the show notes as well. I just wanted to make sure that was memorialized on the podcast. Listen, JJ, before we close out, and I really appreciate you taking time today out of your busy schedule, we want to do something new here on the TZL interview series. We want to go a little deeper for our audience and learn about who the real JJ is. We have a couple of simple questions that we'll end our interview with, and certainly you will not be embarrassed by these questions, and hopefully we'll have a little fun in the process. Is that okay?
Oh, sure.
Okay, great. What was the last book that you read?
Chaos Monkey. I forget who the author was, but it's about a gentleman who was one of the earlier employees in Facebook, and he sort of describes the fits and challenges of life as an early employee in Facebook. Yeah.
Well, obviously, as somebody that's kind of in that startup mode, or has kind of done something along those lines, I'm sure did you see yourself at all in that book?
Yeah. I guess the first part of his story was doing a startup himself,
right,
before getting acquired sort of into Facebook. So, it was interesting.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know if I have the same personality traits if anyone reads the book. He's an interesting character, but yeah, it's a good read.
Okay, good. I'll have to check that out, Chaos Monkey. Where did you go on your last vacation?
Whitefish, Montana. My wife and I usually spend about 2 weeks there every winter and do some relaxing in the mountains and spend some time skiing and snowboarding.
Oh man, that sounds like fun. That's that sounds like a lot of fun. Montana is a beautiful, beautiful state, I hear. So I've never been, but I'd love to get out there. If you could binge watch one TV series, old or new, what would it be?
Well, I don't do a lot. I think the last thing I binge watched was Grand Design, I believe it's called. It's a BBC series, sort of mixing architectural and construction on a home basis. Interesting sort of dialogues on that.
Okay.
So it's a good series.
Okay, Grand Design. I'll have to check that out. So that sounds interesting. So listen, I really appreciate it. JJ, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us on the Zweig Letter interview series. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So folks, I want to encourage you today to get a free subscription of Civil Plus Structural Engineer magazine, and to sweeten the pot, because yes, that's what we're about, sweetening the pot here at Zweig Group. We are throwing in a couple of issues of the Zweig Letter too. Just visit free.tzl.zweiggroup.com and leave us your email address. We will take care of the rest. Everything will be delivered to you electronically. In addition, if your firm is looking to hire great talent, please join our mailing list for AEC Workforce. Just text the word "hire faster" to 66866, and that will get you on the list where you will learn more about this upcoming job board for the design and construction industry. As a reminder, all Zweig Group media programs like this one are available in both podcast and, in some instances, video format, free for download on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and YouTube, just to name a few places. A link to all this information, including JJ's contact information, will be in our show notes. And we'd love it if you'd go to iTunes or wherever you tune into this show and give us a 5-star rating and share this link with a friend. Remember, sharing is caring. I'm Randy Wilburn, and you've been listening to Zweig Group Media, part of Zweig Group. Remember, we exist to make you more successful. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this Zweig Letter Podcast. We hope that you can apply Mark's no-holds-barred advice to your daily professional life. For a free transcript of this or any episode of our podcast, please visit info.zweiggroup.com/podcast. If you want more wisdom and inspiration, in addition to information about finance, HR, and marketing your firm, subscribe to the print or digital version of the Zweig Letter online at zweiggroup.com/publications.